Compass FM, North Canterbury's community radio station, 104.9, 103.7. We are Compass FM. And as promised, joining me on the phone, directly from, I don't know, some stage left, Paul Ego. How are you, Paul?
Yeah, good, thank you. Nice to talk to you. Yes, I'm just off the stage at the moment in my lounge, and the sun is on my legs, and it feels amazing.
Fantastic.
I don't know who Sunny is, but it feels really good.
Good on you, mate. Well, I can tell you now that blue sky and sunshine and Rangiora at the moment as well, because you're going to be here next Saturday night. You and Paul. Tell us a wee bit about Paul. Who's Paul Douglas?
Paul Douglas. Oh, look, he's just a really great stand-up comic. He hasn't been on TV much, so if people haven't been to many live gigs, they probably don't know who he is. But once you see him, as is the case with all the gigs we've done so far, people are like, man, he's funny. And I'm like, yep, this is why I brought him along. He's really good.
Is that something that you tend to do, Paul? Identify comics and sort of help them, put your arm around their shoulder and sort of help them forward? Does that work? Is that what you do?
Not at all. No, I wouldn't normally do it. But I'm like, no, I haven't finished my time in the sun, mate. You just wait a bit. You'll have many great years. Just let me enjoy this golden time. No, it just so happens that Paul's a big golf fan, and Jeremy Corbett and I play a fair bit of golf every, sort of once every couple of weeks. We'll get out for a bit of a fun hit and a chat, and we just happen to invite Paul along because I've sort of enjoyed his company when we've done stand-up gigs together, and we just really clicked. I guess we've got a sort of similar sort of worldview of things, and he's just a great comedian. So we were both talking about doing an individual tour by ourselves sort of thing, and then thought, it'd be heaps more fun if we did it together. Like, it's half the work, and you've got some companionship, and we can maybe play a game of golf during the day.
Look at that. Well, that's a wonderful idea. Who goes on first? Who's headlining?
Well, the idea is that we're both the headliner, really. We're both doing the same length set, which is about sort of half an hour to 40 minutes each. And we'll decide at the top of the show who's going to go first, who's going to go second. So we'll do a little game. We've currently been playing rock, paper, sausage at the top of the show. So we both go on stage and have a game of rock, paper, sausage, and whoever loses that has to go first. And then we'll have a break in the middle of the show, and then the other person will do the second half of the show.
Brilliant stuff. That sounds like a very democratic way of doing it. Look, you've been around for quite some time as far as entertaining is concerned. When did you first discover your passion for comedy? Was it before you became a radio announcer, or was it after? Because they're all full of funny buggers on a radio station. When did you discover this?
Oh, well, it was sort of before, really. My wife and I have been living in London, sort of mid-90s, and we'd go along and see stand-up comedy, and my sister-in-law was living with us at the time, and she would always say, why don't you give that a go? I reckon you'd be quite funny. You're always funny at parties. And I'd never really considered it, but she sort of pestered me. Every time we go to a gig, she'd go and talk to them, go and ask them if you can do a gig. And in the end, I just did it just so she'd leave me alone. And so I wrote 5 minutes of material, went along to an open mic night, as they call it, and did it, and it didn't go terribly. And I just absolutely loved it. It was that light bulb moment where you went, this is what I should be doing. I really wished I'd done it earlier, because I didn't start till I was 28, and I'm like 85 now. 85, you're looking pretty good. Yeah, I am. Really. Yeah, it's all the natural glow. Me and Suzanne Paul have got a good hookup. So. And so that's when I started, and then I came back, and that led me into meeting sort of the likes of Jeremy Corbett, who was also doing stand-up at the time, and that went into radio in 7 days and there on.
Because that's where you were. You were on More FM Breakfast Show in Auckland for a number of years. Yeah. You had a couple of characters that you created. One of them I remember, and I'm sure that, Rangiora is broadcasting into Christchurch. There'll be many, many people listening who will remember a character that you created called, was it Bob Bond?
Yeah, we sort of did that. We were sort of, me, Jeremy and Kim were kind of, after the show, we'd get together and, think about, we do various little characters. So we just started riffing on this idea of what if there was a Kiwi version of James Bond. It was just really ineffectual, and, nothing ever really happened in the episode because he was just sort of low energy.
Yep.
But all the crimes were like, and the guy at the local dairy was like Q. You'd go and see him for his stuff. And so we just recorded a couple for fun, and it sort of really took off and won a radio award, I think. And it was just lots of fun. It was only the three of us doing it. We didn't put really very much effort into the characters.
Yep.
But that was kind of part of its charm, I think, really, that it was quite lo-fi.
Yeah, lo-fi and very, very loose, and quite, you wouldn't be able to get away with half the things that Bob Bond said now, or back then.
No, I don't think so.
How long does it take for you to pull together a set? You said that you sat down and you wrote out 5 minutes of material there for your first stand-up. How long does it take you to do something like that now, Paul?
Well, it's one of those things like the sets we'll be doing. There's bits in my set that I would have been doing for probably, I would say 10 years on and off. Like not exactly word for word the same routine, but a variation of the same sort of theme story. Like I talk about my boys and my kids quite a bit, and so there's always new bits which are coming about them, and they sort of flow in and out. So there's certain chunks that you sort of stay with for a long time, and then there's newer stories that you're kind of working on. Like I'm working on a story at the moment in the middle of the set, which I'm sort of growing as we do it, and it's getting better and better each time I do it. That's one of the great things about touring night after night. Like when we come down and see you guys, we would have come off the back of, sort of Littleton and Christchurch the night before, and then you guys, and then we Akaroa, and then, we've just done gigs up north. So we're sort of honing it all the time. So there's well-tested material in there, and then there's stuff that we're sort of working on. And I tend to work on it on stage. Like I don't sit down and go, right, I'm going to try and write some jokes for this bit. That's sort of not how my brain works. I have to actually be saying it in front of people. I record every one of my gigs on my phone, just in my pocket, and then listen back to it the next day in case there's a bit where I go, that's the bit that works, or I should never say that again.
Fair enough too. So look, you're on top of your game at the moment. It looks like this Paul Douglas is a pretty good dude coming along as well. I do know something that you don't know right now, and that is a number of years ago when you took on the character of Stickman, you gypped my son out of modelling residual dollars. He was a pack and save young fellow doing the grocery shopping. The Stickman came along and boom, he's gone. A wee bit upset about that.
Right?
Yeah, I'm a wee bit upset about that, Paul. I just thought I'd share that with you, get your reaction.
So he was on the previous ads, was he?
Yes, he was. Yeah, for a number of years. Every time you went into a pack and save store around New Zealand, there's my boy Josh. He was all over the place. It was a lot of fun. But
oh no, I'm so sorry.
Oh look, Stickman. That's something that is just huge, isn't it? It was big right from the word go, and all the way right until now.
Yeah, it's terrific fun. I'm lucky to have been doing it as long as I have. I think since the beginning, really, like 12, 13 years, whatever. And that kind of came about almost accidentally, really, too, because I was sort of just mucking around with the voice, kind of almost doing character voices like I used to do on More FM back in the days. And that's certainly not what they asked for when I went in to read for the brief. But I just did one kind of, just sort of to amuse myself, really, and they kind of went, well, that's not what the clients asked for, but do you want to just read one in that nasally, annoying voice, and we'll see what it sounds like? And so I did it, and then I got the call back and said, yeah, that's the one they want. It's terrific.
And then you heard my son's heart break slowly after that, but that's, look, I'm over it. I did, yeah. I'm over it now.
To be honest, it was more of a melting noise, or a crumbling, than an actual snap. I could just hear him dissolving as a person, I got over it.
Do you know what he had to do? He had to go away and get a trade. Now he's a qualified builder. So, hey, things work out.
Oh, well, there you go. He's probably making heaps more money than me.
Things work out in the end. Hey, the show is going to be R18. Okay, so we need to be aware of that. Tickets are general admission. Tickets are $30 in Rangiora Town Hall next Saturday night from around 8 o'clock, where Paul and Paul get on stage, decide who's going to go first, and then Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, and at the end of the night, you'll be moving on to the next one.
Yeah, look, I really hope that there is someone called Fanny there, because as far as comedy goes, there's no better name.
Well,
so I really hope she turns up. No, we'd love to see her. I've never been to Rangiora before, and the Town Hall sounds like an awesome venue. So yeah, come along, be an awesome night.
It is absolutely a wonderful part of North Canterbury, and not too far away from the central city. Paul Ego, I really appreciate you taking the time to have a chat to us here at Compass FM, and break a leg when you're on stage. Go well.
Cool, man. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much.
Compass FM.